Welcome back. Now, during the 2016 tax season, the South African Revenue Services received 6.31 million rand in income tax returns and collected over R1 trillion to March 2017. This was announced yesterday at the launch of the 2017 tax season. The tax season is an opportunity for taxpayers to reconcile their personal income and tax-related deductions with SARS. But to talk more about the 2017 tax season, we are joined from our Pretoria studio by Mark Kingon. He's the Group Executive for Business and Individual Tax Relationship Management at SARS. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Good to be with you, Leanne.
All right, so we spoke about the tax collection season from last year, but let's talk about this year because it's a very ambitious target that's been set. 1.265 trillion rand. Is that the amount that you're hoping to collect?
That is the amount that we're collecting, and obviously it is an ambitious target, but we at the Revenue Service are committed to try and do our best to collect that.
Now, in terms of the environment we find ourselves in as a country, I mean, we're in recession, there's unemployment all around us, we see businesses shutting down. This must be a big concern.
Sure, it is, except that when one considers the tax gap, in other words, people who are not contributing, if you consider the debt that we can still collect, there are opportunities out there. I'm not saying it won't be a challenge, but we are committed to try and go after those gaps and try and fill the coffers as required to help our country.
Yeah. Let's talk about basically who qualifies as a taxpayer, because, I mean, you know, there are different brackets, and we'll talk about those different brackets as well. But who pays taxes?
You know, I always use the symbol that my child pays taxes when he goes to the shop to buy a packet of sweets, in that he's paying VAT. So that is true. But obviously we're talking companies all pay tax. They've got to submit tax returns, trusts. But today we're talking specifically individuals, and there are tax thresholds that are out there. But more specifically, there are filing thresholds. In other words, not everybody has to file a tax return. And I think that's the important message we'd like to get out.
Yeah. So, I mean, the threshold that is, I mean, people earning what are beginning to pay taxes? Where do we go in?
So, very importantly, and I think let's just clarify that there is a difference between paying tax and filing a tax return. So if you're taking a person who's got a small business that might even be in a loss situation, he might not be paying tax because there is no income, but he has to submit a tax return. And I think that's the important message. However, if I've got salary income, and from a single source, and I don't want to claim any other deductions, and I earn less than 350,000 for the full year, I need not submit a tax return.
Yeah, and then of course there was that announced at the beginning of this year in the budget where 45% is now being implemented into the higher earning tax bracket, and this is expected if I'm correct by calculations, it should be adding about 4 billion rand into the coffers. You know, it's a big one, but it's also a very tricky area because a lot of people can dodge taxes when you sort of get into those brackets. Are you worried about that?
Of course we are, but we have got systems in place which we look at data that we get. Remember, we're getting a lot of third-party data, both from our financial institutions locally, internationally. We're getting information from other jurisdictions which we can find assets which we never used to have access to. So the chances of hiding is becoming less and less. So yes, while it is difficult, our systems are becoming more and more smart to be able to tackle the problem at hand.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of, it's a very difficult environment, and we're finding that people, besides the economic environment and the fact that we're in a recession and people are struggling a little bit, there's also a very somber mood in the country with a lot of corruption making headlines, and every single day there's something coming out as to how our tax money is being spent and not in the right way, even though that is contrary to what our Deputy Finance Minister said yesterday, who said that South Africans feel the benefit of their taxes, where a lot of people would dispute this. Again, this must be a worry as well of people wanting to dodge this.
Of course, everything where people try and start dodging it for whatever reason is a concern. I am not, though, involved in the distribution of funds. We are involved in the collection of funds, and we're taking a dim view where people are seeking to avoid paying their rightful portion. But you know, Leanne, I think the encouraging part, and I think we need to focus on that, is that we've got people wanting to do the right thing. And if I have a look, and I was just looking at the data before coming on air, we had 1,004 people on at midnight on our system. We filed 170 returns in the hour to midnight. So there's still a commitment out there to do the right thing.
Well, I mean, that's good. It is good to hear. It's very important that South Africans do abide by these rules. I just want to talk about a very controversial issue, however, that has come up. It's the media alleging that SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane okayed 70 million rand payment to the Gupta family. Can you shed some light on this for us?
Leanne, it would be contrary to the rules and the law, specifically of secrecy, to speak of any aspect of any taxpayer's affairs. Just like I won't speak about your tax affairs, or my tax affairs for that matter, on air, we won't speak about any other matter.
Okay, so we can't talk on personal tax issues here. But just to wrap this up, in order for people to do this and file their tax returns, again, I know that you've made it pretty simple. It's a big online process. I mean, just give us the details once again.
Okay, Leanne, I think the important thing first is what are the dates. So we started yesterday, and the closing date for people who file at our branches electronically or file via e-filing, non-provisional taxpayers, is 24th of November. We have until the end of January if you're a provisional taxpayer, and then there's very few people who still file a manual return, and they have until the 22nd of September to file their tax returns. That's the important thing. The most important thing, watch out for scams, and we'd appeal to people, don't be caught up in scams. If a person is promising a refund that seems unreasonable given your facts, don't believe it, validate it. And that's the important thing. Use only registered tax practitioners would be our appeal. And keep records of everything that you want to claim, and keep it for a period of at least 3 years would be our advice, because that's what the law requires. Remember, you can be audited and you can be called to account, so keep the record, please.
All right, we leave it there for this morning. Thank you very much for talking to us. Mark Kingon, he's Business and Individual Taxes Relationship Management at SARS. Thanks for your time. All right, let's take a break here on the program, and we go to the ANC